All right. Well, welcome everybody to our monthly Fire Safe Council meeting. And we've changed things up a little bit. We've had a few changes in our agenda. So I'll go through normal introductions. And as usual, if you can turn on your camera, if it's working, when you're speaking, that would be great. So we have faces to go with voices. I think I may have everybody's voice memorized, but I don't have people's voice faces. So if you could do that, that'd be great. So we'll just start with Giselle.
Hi, I'm Giselle. I'm the coordinator for the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County. Welcome, everyone.
Oh, and I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jamie Tarn. I'm the president of the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County. Greg,
Greg Dinger, Manchester West.
thank you. Duria,
Duriya Sayed from California Department of Insurance.
thank you. Heidi,
Heidi George, Gateway Firewise Community Leader.
thanks. Jay,
Jay Perkins with Proactive Wildland Resources.
and Dave.
Dave McAdams, Executive Director of Siskiyou Media Council.
Thank you. Julie,
Julie Titus, Proactive Wildland Resources also.
thanks. Connor,
Hey, how's it going, Connor? Just trying to learn more about wildfire.
great. Great. Welcome. Glad to have you. Dan,
Dan Blessing with the Shasta Valley Resource Conservation District.
thank you. CJ,
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm CJ with the Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center. I'm the Community Wildfire Resiliency Program Manager. Thanks.
thank you. Amber,
Can you hear me?
yes,
Okay. I can't seem to get the video working, but
it's
I'm
okay.
Amber, Siskiyou Unit Grants, and I just oversee the grants of Siskiyou County.
Okay, thanks, Amber.
Mhm.
Gwen,
Let's see.
Hi, I'm Gwen Michael Jones, and I'm the Wildfire Resiliency Fellow at Siskiyou Land Trust for the California Climate Action Corps.
thank you, Gwen. Kevin,
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'll turn my camera on here in a bit. I'm driving right now. Assistant Chief, CAL FIRE Siskiyou Unit, Hazard Mitigation.
thanks, Kevin. Ruby,
There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruby. I am the Fire Safe Council's finance manager.
thank you. And doing a fantastic job, I might add.
Thank you.
Emily,
Howdy, I'm Emily Acer with the Trinity County Fire Safe Council.
thanks, Emily. Marlene,
Sorry, thing was off. I'm Marlene Ludlow, and I live in the Mount Shasta Uplands, homeowner, and just been a part of this for a long time, interested, learning lots and lots. Thank you.
thanks, Marlene. Marina,
Hi, everybody. Marina Oliva here, program coordinator for the Community Wildfire Defense Grant.
thanks. Tuli, Tuli, can you introduce yourself? Okay, I'll move on to Jen. Can you hear me, Jennifer?
Yeah, I can. And
Okay.
Julie's screen says that she's connecting to the audio still. So I think
Oh,
she's
okay.
having some connectivity trouble. I'm Jen Erickson. I'm the fire prevention officer here on the Klamath National Forest.
Okay, thank you. And Kristen?
Hi, everyone. I am Kristen Norman. I am Giselle's assistant with the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County, mainly doing outreach and education.
All right, thank you, everybody. And I'll try to capture people if we get any more to join us. And it looked like Thule was having problems connecting. So, okay, so that's our introductions, and we're gonna dive right into our speakers. And Duria from the California Department of Insurance is going to talk to us tonight for a little bit. Duria, it's all you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Giselle, from the bottom of my heart for always including me and letting me come and present to all of you. You probably, most of the Fire Safe Council, if they didn't, I have sent the email to Giselle about the alert that went out, I think, as yesterday. And it was about what bills we are looking forward for your support for this year. But before going there, I just wanted to, talk about it. If you remember, I'll kind of, shake your memory a little bit about we had Safer from Wildfires program that was 2022, and that program intended to have discount and transparency, and also include Firewise community and forest risk reduction communities to offer discount to the people who were mitigating, and also to offer transparency. So if people want to know what is their wildfire risk scores, they are able to do that. And if they have mitigated the property, then they have 30 days to ask for the revised score. Then came a sustainable insurance strategy, which was like, and this Safer from Wildfire was with, the regulation was with the help of CAL FIRE and OES. Now there was sustainable insurance strategy where commercial insurance companies talk about it, what we can do to make this system better, and what can insurance companies what can we give to insurance companies so they can do more business in California. And basically the whole idea of sustainable insurance strategy was that insurance companies will write more in wildfire areas, and in return they can use catastrophic models for their future predictions, and also they can incorporate reinsurance costs in their rate filings. And in order to do that, they can only do California reinsurance costs. They cannot include the cost of Florida or Texas. Believe it or not, we're better than those two states right now. So that was the thing. And also third thing was that how Fair Plan has become the insurer of the first resort, how we, move people to the traditional market and make Fair Plan more fair for people. And it's more expand the Fair Plan. So, but right now, at that time, we only worked on it, how Fair Plan. Fair Plan also extended at that time, after that, the moratorium courtesy to the businesses also, and also increase their what they were giving to benefits, what they were giving to residential, that they were like per location, per structure, and up to 100 million they were offering. So now we are coming to the third part, that what happened last time is that we had SIS, we had SFW. We also wanted to protect it with our bills. California's Safe Home Act bill, which AB 88, which provides tax-free home hardening grants to promote safer fire-resistant communities. This was in line with Strengthen Alabama Home Act, and that was approved last year. That was signed by the governor, and we are working on implementing it and stuff like that. Also, like I said, the expand insurance non-renewal moratoriums to include businesses was also approved for HOAs and nonprofits, and eliminate the List Act, which was like guarantees full content coverage without requiring detailed inventory. So that was the one that was done. Now we are asking and calling out all of you to help us, because with LA fires, we found out that there are other bills that we need to have to be very active about the disaster preparedness. And also there were things that come up that is not part of the things right now. So we are calling out for your support and the package of wildfire recovery and insurance reform bills currently under consideration at the Capitol. So these measures are authored by Assembly members Mike Gibson, Lisa Calderon, and Senator Steve Padilla. And you don't have to worry about taking notes because the fact sheet and things will be sent to you via email. And they're focused on addressing ongoing recovery challenges in wildfire impacted communities across California. So the first bill is AB 1795, authored by Mike Gibson, and would establish clear public health standards for smoke damaged homes. After a wildfires, many homes may appear structurally sound, but still contain hazardous smoke contamination. So without clear standards, homeowners often face delays, disputes, and uncertainty regarding remediation and insurance coverage. So this bill kind of creates clarity and protects public health and helps streamline the recovery process. The second one is the AB 876, authored by Senator Steve Padilla, and strengthen disaster recovery, protection, and living expenses. And family displaced by wildfire are often out of their homes for extended periods. So this measure will help ensure residents have adequate coverage for temporary housing and related costs, reducing financial hardship and during a time of crisis. And the third one is a bill AB 1680, and that's authored by Assembly member Lisa Calderon. It reforms and increases accountability with the FAIR Plan. As more Californians turn to the FAIR Plan due to insurance market instability, it is critical that the program operates with transparency, sustainability, and strong consumer protection. So this bill aims to improve oversight and help stabilize the insurance market for wildfire impacted community. So we are hoping that together these measures are designed to speed recovery, reduce coverage gaps, increase accountability, and strengthen the long-term community resilience. So we are asking for you to support those bills, and our fact sheet, can send you the fact sheet, and we will also send you the template for for the letters. You can send it. And I have actually already shared that email with Giselle about that. So that is the thing. But I also want to share one good news. I know you have accommodated so last minute, so I'm not going to take that much of the time. But I also wanted to say that because of our efforts with sustainable insurance strategy, and if you remember, like I said, insurance companies left the market, and they were like, they asked us for catastrophic models to be incorporated. That was all 4 catastrophic models were approved last year, and we received the rate filings from the companies, and I'm really excited to share that the insurance companies have been approved, and those are Mercury, that is approved, and effective date is 7/1/2026. So they will be writing insurance in wildfire areas. They've been approved by the department. CSA approved, effective, already started doing that on March 1st. So they're effective on March 1st. USAA. So 4 different USAA insurance companies have been approved, and the effective date has already been since April 30th. Pacific Specialty approved, effective date 7/1, which will be July 1st, and California Casualty approved, effective 5/1. In May 1st. So it's just exciting for me to finally report that the sustainable insurance strategy, due to that, there are insurance companies, 5 of them, they have been approved, and they will be writing in the wildfire areas. And they have already writing and will be writing that. So just wanted to bring all this update. And if you have any question, or, I'm open to that.
Hi, I have a quick question, and it is a little unrelated, but I was set to a task. Skylar Fisher is the my program manager for the yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, she was wondering if you had an update on the home hardening grant program or the timeline for that or anything.
And I think I left her a phone message also saying,
Oh, okay, good.
I did,
I
but
just
I
got
need
like
to
a little
send an
signal
email
message
also.
from her. She's like, double check on this. I was like,
Yes, you did the right thing, and I am waiting for that. And Skylar will be the first person to send it to because I know that. So yes, we are still in the process of implementing that, and we are excited about that.
Great,
Because
great.
that
I'm
is
excited to share the fact sheet that you were talking about with all of this to
Yes.
Skylar, because I know that they'll also be interested in that.
We
So
will really love it because I think it will be opposed by so many things, these things, because we are asking to be proactive and it requires a lot of work. But if we have all of your support, so that will be great,
absolutely.
And it's definitely related to that. So thank you for asking that question because lots of people are waiting on that because AB 88 has passed and people are like, it has passed. So what's
It's
next?
passed. What's going on? Let's go. Right. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for asking that question.
Understandable.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Marlene.
Sorry, Marlene. I was trying to get my audio back on. Go ahead, Marlene.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Now, did you say that USAA is going to write new policies in the fire areas?
Yes. So USAA has 4 different USAA companies, insurance companies under that, and they are approved. And actually, their effective date was 4/30/2026. So connect with them and let me know what's if that's working. So, but their rate filings was approved.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we're really excited.
Really?
We're really excited. We don't know how things will unfold, but right now, to get to this point where 5 major companies are willing to write and their rate has been approved, so that itself is exciting for us at the Department of Insurance.
Well, I'll check it out. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. And feel free to. Giselle knows where I know, have my cell phone number and everything. So if you guys stuck anywhere, we'd rather have you call the department also because our callback time is 2 minutes. And also we have live chat or, reach out to me if you're not getting the answers and I would be happy to get you the answer.
Okay.
After the meeting, I will forward all of the information that Duria sent me. She sent me all 3 bills in their entirety, I think. And I can include her contact information as well. And we'll send it to our constant contact list, which I think you all get emails from. So.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Julie, you had a question?
Yeah, real quick. I think really she just answered it, Doria. I think you just answered it. When we were dealing with wildland, the planning side of it, we have a lot of people that confuse things and think that, oh, a wildland protection plan should help, is in sync with insurance, and it's 2 separate things. But it's nice to know what reference. So it's for Siskiyou County, calls can go to you in terms of people if they ask us people questions, correct then? Am I right?
Yes, you can send me the questions. And
okay.
if I
there's
couldn't
a lot of
answer
sounds like
it,
a lot of change coming. So yeah.
No, if I don't have the answer, I'll find the answer for you and get back to you on that part. So no, feel free to. I'm your outreach analyst. Lisa retired, and Lisa is having a good life. Lisa was your outreach analyst for a while, so now I'm back. And I used to have Siskiyou, and I love being with Giselle. So it's an honor to be back on that part.
Okay, thank you.
And I do apologize if some things were not in sync today. It's my last hour of fasting, so it gets to me at this time. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, we always appreciate you joining us, Duria. Thank you. I just want to check if there's any more questions before we let you go. I don't see any. All right. Well, thank you for coming, and you're welcome anytime.
Yes,
Thank you
Duria,
so
thank
much.
you so much for reaching out and coming tonight. It's very important information Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on your mailing list, because sometimes I go back and look at your recording, fast forward, is there anything new or something that I need to work on? And because you all are so many councils in one, and that just makes it so much easier to come here and present to all of you. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the evening.
You're welcome, and thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our CWPP update with Julie and Jay with Proactive Wildland Resources. And they're going to give you an update on what they've been doing and what our status is and other exciting information. So I will give it over to Jay and Julie.
Thank you, Jamie. And I'm presuming everybody can see my screen because I can't see you, so therefore you can see the screen.
Yes.
So we were asked to do a quick update on where we are with the contract and with doing the community wildfire protection planning updates. And what we'll focus on tonight is where we are with Vibrant Planet. And we're very excited about where we are with Vibrant Planet, and a lot of this information is so hot off the press that some of it will be presented with in-depth understanding to come much later. For the group on the call, we're a small team that's taken on the CWPPs, but we work with a lot of very, very smart people that help us to pull all the data together that we need. So Proactive is Julie, myself, and then our GIS specialist is Kelvin Clark. So to jump right into it, we just received our Vibrant Planet assessment, if you will, for the county. And that's called the Quantitative Wildfire Risk Assessment. And with this document, which I can certainly avail, there may be a few corrections. So I don't know, Giselle, if I'm ready to share it yet. But we have all the associated GIS data that go with this assessment. And we needed to start off to getting the whole county hazard risk assessment done before we could just jump right into the greater weed. We started off with our community meetings with weed, but we had to stop, take a step back, and get the hazard risk assessment done in order for us to proceed with greater weed. So as I said, we just got the document, and as Jamie and Julie can attest, we just got a briefing less than a week ago from our Vibrant Planet lead, Hannah Young. We just did that last Friday, so we're busy processing mentally everything that's going to be going into this and what it is that we'll be needing to do, as well as getting Kelvin Clark, our GIS guy, up to speed also. So we're, as I said, we have a lot to absorb, and this, just to give you kind of a brief overview of what we're looking at for the county, I'd like to share with everybody, in case they don't know, but Siskiyou County is 4 million acres. And if you take a look at 4 million acres, and the impact that wildfire has on us, as you'll see as I go through this short series of slides, that wildfire is a real bugger for us here in this county. So when we last did the community wildfire protection plan for Siskiyou County, we had fire history up through 2017. As you can see from this graphic, we have fire history from 2015 all the way up through 2025. But what I want to point out to you is that 37%, let that sink in, 37% of our county has seen acres burned.
Wow. And
that's a very big deal. And as I take a look at what we did when we when we published this 7-8 years ago, one thing to bring to your attention is this is the fire history that we had through 2017. And needless to say, since then, we've had the Slater fire, we've had We've had the McKinney fire, and over here on the east side, we've had a series of fires that have all occurred since 2017. So if you go back and see where the fires have occurred, especially on the east side, but even over here where the Slater fire was, we're pretty much seeing this whole west side of the county has burned at some point in the last 10 years. One of the products that's going to be available to us across the county is taking a look at burn probability and what's the chances of a pixel or an area burning. We did not have these data available to us when we did this, when we published this 7 years ago. So this is going to be a new metric and a new source of information with respect to where do fires want to burn when we take a look at our landscape. What we did do when we did the Greater Wairika is we did do a burn probability for the Greater Wairika CWPP. So we built this with the help of Clint Isbell with the Forest Service, just to take a look at where are those greatest probabilities of fire burning. It can help us to direct our eye, perhaps one of the many criteria we could use for deciding where to do projects. Another output that we're processing is how hot do fires want to burn? And what I want to point out with this graphic, which should come as no surprise to all the fire people here, is the fact that if you take a look in the upper right-hand corner, 2 million acres, over half of our county, wants to burn with over 12-foot flame lengths by late summer, early fall. And 12-foot flame lengths are exceptionally hot fires. They're difficult to suppress, and the damage that they can rend can be pretty spectacular. So again, this is information that we'll be able to use and to process. Here it is blown up a little bit. We lose a little bit of the clarity because I don't have the actual graphics yet. That's how new we are in doing this. When we did the county-wide one 8 years ago, we had a different metric that we got from CAL FIRE, from the Fire and Resource Assessment Program, and this gave us a sense for where fire wanted to burn. And just to quickly point out, if you look over here, northwest of Happy Camp, you can see it wanted to burn hot, but that's been pretty well taken care of by the Slater fire. And then you look over here on the east side, and we've had a series of fires over here: the Mill Fire, the Lava Fire, the Tenant Fire, that have changed how these fires are going to burn, at least in the near future. And we did do. I just wanted to point out that for the Wairika area CWPP, we also did a late season flame length, so we could get a sense for where these hot fires wanted to be, and perhaps targeting them for doing treatments in the near future. The last thing is of immediate I wanted to present to you immediately is a thing that we looked at, which is suppression difficulty. Now, when we did the CWPP for the county 8 years ago, we didn't have this capability of being able to analyze suppression difficulty. And suppression difficulty is pretty much due to fuels and how heavy the fuels are, certainly weather conditions, as well as how steep the slopes are. And keep in mind too, when I was showing you that 12-foot flame length map, that hot fires are far more difficult to suppress as well. So the suppression difficulty is going to also provide us with a lot of information. Kelvin Clark and I put together for the Greater Wairika something very similar. When we called it suppression opportunity. And the redder the area, the more difficult fires would be to suppress. And we took a look at those adjacent to where structures were. So this, what I wanted to show here is a quick look at communities and the risk of these communities to wildfire. And this is updated. Structure information as of 2 years ago. The data that we used was 2017. So it's, it was 8, 9 years old. So getting this updated is a big deal. And then taking a look at those areas and communities that are certainly at risk from wildfire. And you can take a look here at the greater Wairika area, some places here, Lake Shastina, down here in the along the corridor, Dunsmuir, etc. Even a little bit of Happy Camper left. You get over here into the valley, and you can see that Etna and Callahan are areas of certainly at high risk. And we did do something similar, and I'm excited about the capabilities of this model in being able to assess housing groups. And Kelvin and I did this manually for the Wairika CWPP. But we were able to identify in this process those structures or groups of structures that were at greatest risk and at greatest concern. So as I mentioned before, we've got all the updated structure information. And so the question is, where are we going to go from here? We got all these data, and what are we going to do with it? And that's where we're headed next. And that's called the Wildfire Management Strategy. And this is a work in progress. The first wildfire management strategy we'll be looking at for the CWPP is the Greater Weed area. We just submitted on Monday, to Vibrant Planet, the polygons for the Greater Weed area. We've presented this at a community meeting for the weed people, but just real quickly, we have 3 general areas in the Greater Weed. We've got Lake Shastina, we've got Weed proper itself, and then we've got the Hammond Ranch area. So these polygons have been sent to Vibrant Planet, and then they will be sorting through all those data and giving us specificity for our Greater Weed area. One of the products that we're excited about is taking a look at projects, where we can do projects, where projects will give us the best return on the investment dollar, and then perhaps which projects are the most important and sequence them for us with respect to these are the ones we ought to look at first, and so on and so forth. And these are all just examples. This is not from weed. These are examples from a different project. And some of the treatments, and we even talked about this in the county-wide CWPP, are anywhere from herbivory to mechanical removal to prescribed fire. And at the end of the day, the question is, so what? And that's where one of the more exciting outputs will be that we'll get from Vibrant Planet. The Pyrologics, their fire modeling group has put together, is taking a look at, on the left-hand side of this graphic, these are areas where there was no action, no treatments done. And then the right-hand side, how did it mitigate wildfire effects on communities, or perhaps from some other resources? So that's what we're really excited about. At the end of the day, and in closing, Jamie, is one thing that'll be new that we'll be looking to is the 5-foot zone, the zero zone, which was not. Well, I still don't think it's law. I'd have to double check with Kevin Mancebo, but I think we all know what the purpose of the 0 to 5 foot. The 30-foot and the 100-foot, and we'll be able to work with the different communities and make some recommendations for the kind of work that they need to do. So that I find that exciting, and knowing from a modeling standpoint which areas within which communities are at greatest concern, so that those areas might be focused for doing home hardening, more directed defensible space work, and so on and so forth. So in closing, part of the reason we're excited about this is CAL FIRE has just agreed to use Vibrant Planet throughout the state, and that'll be available in 2027. They just recently signed the contract. And so what we're doing here for the county and for Greater Weed is going to be kind of a look at what will be available to the whole county here within the next year and a half or so. So I know that Julie and I are excited about this, and having the availability um, of these tools to any fire safe council is very exciting, and I look forward to it. I'm getting old, and it's time to let other people pick this up and move forward. And Kevin, I know you're on. If you wanted to speak a little bit more about where CAL FIRE is with Vibrant Planet, that's the end of my presentation, my quick presentation, Jamie.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Yeah, Jay, I think you summed it up for us. We're going there in 2027, and you're pretty much the subject matter expert right now. Appreciate it.
And thanks to Kevin, we have a CAL FIRE representative that's a full-time member of our group, Clint Singleton, and he's going to be great to work with. So, and thank you for that, Kevin.
Are there any questions for Jay and or Julie on what this is about and where we're going with it? Okay. I don't see any, so I will say thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. I know that we didn't give you a lot of time to put this together, so do appreciate you doing this, and that you must be missing date night tonight for this. So thank you.
Well, you know what, Jamie, you've always been a priority, so it's good.
Yeah, tell Marcia that.
I will. Trust me, she's listening probably.
All right, we'll move on after that. So the next thing is an update on our community wildfire defense grant. And Marina, did you want to do that tonight?
Yeah, I can give a quick update on that.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. The CWDG project to date has conducted 144 defensible space implementations, finishing up work this spring in Scott Bar and Forks of Salmon, performing fuels reduction work in Tennant, Bray, Western, Wairika, Callahan, Etna, with plans to move through Scott Valley later this spring. We are also looking at conducting workshops in Etna, Tennant, Bray, Wairika, Scott Valley, and communities in discussion are Sawyer's Bar, Sums Bar, Horse Creek, Happy Camp, and McLeod. And that's our very quick update on this end. Throw it back to you, Jamie.
Okay, thanks, Marina. And for those who may not know, just give you a quick background, is the Community Wildfire Defense Grant is a grant we got through the infrastructure bill, a 5-year bill grant in to do risk assessment, fire assessments for people's homes, and then do follow up with the fuel reduction work and within that 100 feet that Jay just had up there. And it's all free to everybody that we are involving. So it's free to everybody in the county, and we're working hard to get people signed up. So if everybody here can spread that word. And we have all the information. We can get that out to you to sign up yourselves. If you're home, you would like to get assessed. That's always a good thing too. So we can be good role models for everybody else. Okay. Any questions on the CWDG? Okay. We'll move on then to the Klamath National Forest. Jen?
Hey, Jamie, can I'm
Yes.
sorry, I had trouble switching over. This is George. Jen,
Hi, George.
Can I ask you a question about that real quick?
Yes, please do.
We're getting ready to start a East Side Wairika Community Protection Project, and part of the project has several homes that were they're in what we're going to conduct a maintenance fuels project on those houses, and I was wondering if we can get this available to each those houses. I think there might be like 15 or 20 up on the Rolling Hills subdivision. Is that something we can ask for, like
Sure.
having them assessed?
Yeah. Just I'll pass it on to Greg, and then he can get in touch with you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So we're back to Jen. I think she's going through. I don't see her now. Oh, there you
I'm
are.
here.
Okay. Hi. There you are. I have to read all the names. All right. Okay, go ahead, Jen.
Okay. So we have completed our pile burning for the spring, if we can call this spring. It's technically winter still. We've done 2,200 acres of pile burning since the start of the year, and now we're going to be looking to underburning, potentially as soon as next week. We would be out on Hayden Ridge, kind of in the Callahan area. And then also the Goose Nest is looking at burning in the area of Cedar Mountain, which is kind of between MacDowell and Tennant. Some other updates, the McKinney-Slater settlement, folks might have seen that in the news. The Forest Service got a settlement from Pacific Power, about $40 million for the McKinney fire and about $200 million for the Slater fire. We don't know what the final amount is going to be. It's all still very early, and we aren't sure if the suppression costs are going to be coming out of that. So more to come on that, but that will probably be shaping our program of work moving forward. In the McKinney fire, we're looking to start some contract work out there, doing some site prep and some planting. And then we're also going to be doing some fuels reduction in the green islands out there to make those pieces of forest, parts of forest, more resilient to future wildfires. We're going to be having a open house for the Syad Restoration Thin project that is in the planning phases. That's going to be in Syad on March 24th from 5 to 7. There'll be several Forest Service people there, and it's going to be held at the Syad Volunteer Fire Department. I'll put a flyer in the chat when I'm done. Let's see, snow survey results are coming out tomorrow. So that should be on Facebook. We have 6 active sales going on. Here's the ones that have WUI in them. Cade Mountain is in the Happy Camp WUI. And then we have 3 sales in the Bear Country project. And that's affecting WUI for Godfrey, Black Bear, and Blue Ridge Ranch. There's some hand piling of slash from the Jess Timber sale near Sawyer's Bar right now. There's 5 different areas of that going on. For planning, we've got 4 projects in WUI with fuels reduction and timber activities that we're working on. The South End project on the east side, Tennant and Bray are right at the northern tip of that project. And then there's 3 large projects on Happy Camp Oak Knoll. One is that WUI project, and then there's another one up Elk Creek and one near Clear Creek. The 2 Forest prescribed fire EA is still on schedule to have a decision done in May. So that's really exciting, and that EA covers fuels reduction and prescribed fire across both forests, the Shasta Trinity and the Klamath. So that should improve our ability to implement things in a more timely manner regarding fuels reduction. I learned today that we are accepting proposals for Stevens Funds projects, and that those will be open until April 1st. You can reach out to me if you have any questions, but I'm going to direct you to the ranger for whatever district you're looking for. And then just a reminder that projects that are adjacent to or close to federal lands are ranked higher when they're choosing which projects to award funding to. RAC, we're still waiting on the charter renewal for Secure Rural Schools Act. Chief of the Forest Service has signed it. We're waiting on the Secretary of Agriculture. During that time, all the nomination packets have expired, and we pretty much have to wait until that new charter comes out because there will be new forms for us to use for nominations of members. If people are interested, though, definitely call me. I'll put my phone number in here and my email and get you in touch with the people who are going to be running the RAC from the Klamath here. Fire season, it seems like it's here, or getting close at least. Our permanent seasonals are coming on now. Our temporaries will be coming on in May. We did have a human-caused fire near Happy Camp up on Cade Mountain. and it was very dry out there. The sticks were cracking, and it was surprising. And that was at about 3,500 feet in the timber. So things are dry. Be vigilant. And that's the end of my report, unless there's questions. Jay.
Jennifer, I have a question. This is Jay.
Hi.
I saw yesterday on Facebook that USA Jobs is open again for seasonal firefighters. Is that a true fact?
I'm going to have to double check on that. I believe that's actually for non-fire seasonal jobs, but I will track that down while we're on the call here and put a link to information in that.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank
asking.
you.
Okay, thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
Yes, I'm not looking forward to that snow report, that's for sure. All right. Christine had to leave from the Shasta T, but she put in chat that McLeod District is potential prescribed underburns next week at McBride for 50 acres and Highway 89 for 400 acres, 5 miles east of McLeod, of course, dependent on favorable winds. All right, but she had to leave. And so from there, we will move on to Cal Fire, Kevin and Amber. Who's up first?
Can I get a quick question for you? Sorry, I couldn't find my thing just really fast. Are the Stevens grant just for is it both Shasta T and Klamath, or is the Stevenson's grant just the Klamath? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
Anybody know?
that's a good question. That should be like Forest Service wide or at least region wide.
It is. Okay, it's Fed wide. Okay, thank you.
Okay, now Kevin.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Let's see. Staffing. So as of Monday, March 16th, what's that, 4 days from now, 5 days from now, we will be going to peak staffing. It's a term we used to use, but it's different now. So we're hiring 80 seasonal firefighters on Monday. And they'll be going through their week-long training, and then we should be up to speed by the end of March with the hand crews and all the stations back open again. So that is exciting. That's the new model we're moving towards. Something also a little different that will be happening in the next about 30 to 45 days is we'll be transitioning to a firefighter 2 rank. So firefighter 2 is a permanent year-round firefighter, and we're getting 12 of those in Siskiyou unit. So basically that'll leave Fort Jones, Wairika, Hornbrook, McLeod, McDowell, and Weed will be open year-round with the fire engine staffed from here on out. So that's a pretty big jump in year-round coverage for the county. It's your tax dollars at work, but I think that's an exciting thing for us all to have. Let's see also in the staffing world, which may be a little bit in the weeds, but what we're calling traditional staffing from legacy staffing. So in the past, it's usually been a captain or an engineer as a driver and 2 firefighters on the apparatus. Department-wide from Mexico to Oregon, we're transitioning to a traditional staffing model, which is now going to be 2 company officers, a captain, an engineer, and a firefighter. So a little bit more experience, a little bit better workload, but it's also a little bit of looking towards the future of transition and retirement and attrition. So we're trying to get everybody up to speed and have mentorship on those fire engines. Projects wise, so coming online in the next 30 days, we'll have on the east side of Wairika, the Kilgore Hills project will be coming online. Guys Gulch, so Grenada west side of I-5, and Lime Gulch, which touches the Outson project there in West Wairika. So all 3 of those projects will be coming online, so you'll start seeing some work done out there. Also, we've taken on a few more assist projects at Lake Siskiyou. We are looking to put some fire on the ground, do some landscape burning on the south side of the lake from the dam to the nearest inlet. I can't remember the name of that creek right there, but anyways, that area that's pretty well traveled will be visible. So we're looking for a very specific prescription to put some fire on the ground in there. It's been treated by hand several times over the last 20 years. And yeah, we're looking to burn it. And then the Mills Ranch, Wagon Creek, which would be just northwest of Mount Shasta proper. We're going to get back into there. There's been some primary treatments, hand treatments, and mechanical, and we're going to get in there and start putting some fire in the ground, which will be great because that ties in with all the work that we're doing, and then the future projects of the Eddie Parks fuel project. I believe the Shasta Trinity has planned within the next 5 years. All these things are going to connect. So super exciting where we're going. There's a bunch of other projects, but I'm not going to bore you with those right now. Highlight some of the success of the Siskiyou unit and our cooperators, like with the RCDs and contractors and everything else. Our acreage totals just came out early this week, and the Siskiyou unit is approaching 7,000 acres treated since July 1. So right now we are the #2 runner in the entire state, and mathematically speaking, that 7,000 acres is 12% of all the acreage treated in the entire state of California on the state side. Wow. And our little county, our little staffing model is doing all that work. But that happens not just because of the Cal Fire folks, that's the cooperators, that's the grants, that's the work that's going on out there in Shastina. So it's all collaborative, but 7,000 acres is pretty impressive. I'm guessing by the end of the fiscal year, the end of June, we'll probably be pushing that 10 to 12,000 acres treated. So like I said, we'll be tipping torch here soon, like Jen was talking about. We're getting into that landscape burn season. It might slip away from us very quickly in the long needles and the ponderosa because it's drying out quick. Looking at 80 degrees this weekend in Siskiyou County and down in Shasta County, in the 90s. So things are changing quickly. So we'll bring back spring would be kind of nice. Let's see, this time last year, I made a pitch to everybody here and I got some takers on it. But remember, Cal Fire has the chippers and the personnel. We just need people to organize neighborhoods, and we can do these chipping projects. We can facilitate support with the equipment and the personnel. Just reach out to me. I can get you in contact with the local battalion chief so we can get in the planning process on that. So please use us for what we have. And then the last thing I think I will leave it at is just a little public service reminder. With this weather coming in, just everybody be aware where their pile burning is at. If you live in, the Ponderosa Pines, the Long Needles, I would anticipate we're going to have some escapes coming up this next weekend. So just pass the word for people to be mindful of what they're doing, but absolutely get all the burning done that they can. So that's what I have, and I'm open for any questions.
Sorry, my audio. Jennifer, and I'm going to step away while you guys ask Kevin his questions for a minute.
Okay. First, awesome. I love that update of all the acres you guys have gotten treated. That is freaking great. But what I wanted to ask is there any word on Prop 4 funding and if any of that will be available to Siskiyou County?
I do not know, but I could get back to you and I know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
What I heard is with the forest health opportunity coming open, they're going to be employing some Prop 4 funds with that opportunity, but that's not 100%. Anyway, that's what I heard.
Kevin,
Julie?
I've got a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, real quick. Kevin, yeah, that's awesome. The numbers it's great to see this increase in treated acres. Quick question for the chipper. Are you working with the Firewise community folks? I just wonder because I know a lot of them. I remember working with them a little bit that they were excited about that. Are they already in dialogue with you?
Some have been. We had a couple really good chipper days downriver. There's been quite a few in Hammond Ranch. I think there was a few days in East Mount Shasta. I can't say everybody that we're in contact with. Basically, I just run as an intermediary, and I just pass it off to the local battalion chief. So there has been some stuff, but it was the season where things kind of got quiet. But now, if we can just get that word out there again and start working on the planning process, then we can make it happen.
This is Heidi. I want to say thank you, Kevin, for Julie, we are going to be doing Chipper Day. It started the beginning of the month and it goes all the way through the 21st. So
Great.
yeah,
Great.
and I'm gonna throw out. We're trying to avoid bird nesting season with this warm spring. We're really pushing it. So if we can burn as much as we can as soon as we can, that'd be great.
Julie, you had a question?
Thanks, Jamie. I just had a little bit of info on Prop $4. I can do that update now or later, whatever folks like.
Oh, okay. Let me finish there with questions for Kevin. Jay?
So, Kevin, I live up Guy's Gulch, and this is the first I've heard of any projects up here. So I'm curious, if one doesn't participate in these meetings, how is the public being informed of work that's being done in their areas?
Well, Jay, to be transparent, if you take all the organizations from federal, state, RCDs, the districts, the city of Wairika, I don't think there's really a way to communicate to everyone the projects that are being undertaken or diving into. You know, this the one in Guys Gulch specifically was selected because of the brush component. Yes, we're going to be doing fuels work in there, but we really needed to find a brush component for our hand crews to train line cuts in. So that's why that one was specifically chosen. Overall, it's actually going to tie into what's going to be our Rocking M project, which traverses the top of Guys Gulch up and over the top onto the I-5 side and travels south almost all the way to Scarface. So I don't think I have a very exact answer. It's kind of the same thing that happens when we're trying to figure out where everybody's projects are. It's hard to bring that all to one place to present it, but I'm open for suggestions.
Well, so I guess there's no CAL FIRE Siskiyou doesn't have a place where they're listing all the projects that they're doing out and about in the county.
No, I would say there's not. No, there isn't a listing per se. I mean, we have an active roster that, in fact, Amber and I were in the same room today where we were looking at active projects that we as an agency are pursuing, but it doesn't capture what everybody else is pursuing.
Okay.
If I may
Thank you.
add, how about SOMIC? Because we're getting together, we're putting all those projects into one data, I guess, data portal. OES has volunteered to collect all that stuff. So eventually we'll have a spot where everybody can go look.
Well, I bring it up because it's the challenge of all of us is how do you communicate to the public? And how do we let the public what's going on? That's really was the essence of my question. And I'm ready to close this out. I'm good.
Right, and that was the whole point of SOMIC is to get all this information in one place and then utilize it not only for each other, but then get it out to the public. So but growing that group is a slow process. Okay, so did you want to add anything from your side of CAL FIRE?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Shasta Valley RCD, Dan?
How about Thule? She wanted to tell us about Prop 4.
Okay, I'm sorry, Thule, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just a little update on Prop 4. We did see some of our Prop 4 dollars move. So there was some legislative hangups. There's a couple different pots of money. The first pot of money, which is kind of the landscape scale investment or regional investment. SNC has $40 million in that pot and CAL FIRE has $60 million in that pot. So those dollars are able to move forward at this time. We've both put out draft guidelines for public review. I'll put a link in the chat for everybody if you'd like. Those are going to be out till I think late March. I want to say the 25th for public review. We hope to be able to approve those guidelines and then move forward with investing those dollars at our June board meeting, so that's first week of June. So SNC will be investing within the SNC region, so that's South Siskiyou County, and CAL FIRE will be investing in the remainder of the state. So Yeah, so that's the first pot of money. The second pot of money, we're still waiting. It's kind of hung up in a legislative process that hasn't been alleviated yet, but there's still a bill moving through the state legislature right now. So hoping that that sees some more movement here in this next month. So hopefully more to come.
Okay, thank you, Tuli. And I do apologize if you guys kept hearing a dog in the background. My dog did not like being left alone and went into panic mode. So you might see him behind me here.
Jamie, a question. What is SOMIC?
Oh, go ahead, Giselle. I was.
SOMIC, it stands for Siskiyou Area Wildfire Fire Mitigation Coalition. It's a group of leadership with CAL FIRE, Forest Service, RCDs, and the county, the state, and fire safe councils. We get together and we're talking up our projects where we're laying them so that we can coordinate and work together to work more seamlessly across the landscape, creating a more fire resilient county, we hope.
Thank you so much, Giselle. I appreciate it.
Okay, now Dan, now your turn.
Yeah. Here, so we do have some projects going on right now. We're working in West Mount Shasta doing defensible space on some properties there. We're also down in Happy Camp working on Karuk lands in the Slater fire footprint, just fire mitigation or repair type things. And on down in Horse Creek, doing some stuff around private properties, actually on the Klamath National Forest lands down there, managing a project there. And then we also have some, the PBA has been doing some burning here and there, some, collaborative stuff with CAL FIRE, but also doing some burning, follow-up burning on NRCS equip projects, piles that didn't get burned, helping some landowners get those done. Plus, we also have some projects in the McKinney footprint that we're planning on planting here pretty quick. So we were out there just the last few days getting those piles burned before we start putting trees in, hopefully starting tomorrow or the next day. So we're, doing that work mostly, like Jay said, so many fires, so much damage and all. So we are working, we've got 3 different projects in the McKinney fire footprint. That one that we're doing right now with the planting reforestation, but we're also working on some FWS land down there and then around some other private lands, plus doing some stream rehab, on the Forest Service land, putting logs into the creek to, slow down the down cutting that's happening with all that soil exposed down there. And we also have 2 projects going on, one on FWS land in the mountain fire and another one just on some private ranch lands down there. And we're also working with the weed fire department, and we've got a project that should start here in another week or so with the weed folks. So that's pretty much what we got.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Busy.
Hey, Dan, this is CJ from the Ecology Center. Hey, I'd like to know more about the projects you're doing in weed.
Sure, it's it's a project that the weed fire department was managing for the city, and so they just asked us to help them move it forward, award the contracts and manage the contracts. But it's kind of along the freeway area and just around the community. I think there's another project. Well, I know there's another project that Jefferson Resources is also doing in the weed area. And so it's a little bit interesting, they're doing a property and then we're doing the one next to it, that type of thing. But it's 588 acres. and we're still trying to get the final landowner agreements done, but we do have two contracts that hopefully we're awarding tomorrow, or the city of Weeds awarding tomorrow at their city meeting, and hopefully get started right after that. But it's mastication and handwork, just kind of scattered throughout some city properties and some just larger landowner properties. Nothing, like around, the right around the homes. Nothing within 100 feet of the homes or anything like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Julie, you had a question for Dan?
Yeah, just really quick. Dan, is that the same or different project from the one in Carrick? That's also, I was actually talking to George actually about that a little bit, Jennings. It's different, right?
Right. That, like I said, Jefferson's got a project going on at the same
Yeah,
time.
okay. Okay, just curious. All right.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Dan. And let me see, where am I?
Siskiyou Media Council.
Yeah, Dave, you're up with the Siskiyou Media Council.
Well, folks, how are you doing tonight? So just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on with Siskiyou Media Council, we received a $5,000 grant from the Smullen Foundation, and what we're going to do is we're going to be purchasing, or we're going to be building three what they call OTT apps, which is smart television apps. So that'll be Roku. We'll also be doing the mobile apps along with that. That way, we're breaking the television channels will be breaking away from cable, and so it'll be more readily available across the county. And what that can do is that because with the platform, we're able to do live streams, which we've done in the past with the National Forest Service during the last fire season, and we're going to be doing it this year with the fire season. We've got our points of contact there. We've also, hopefully by the end of June, we should have our first four radio stations built out. It'll be Hornbrook, Happy Camp, McLeod, and Dunsmuir. Those are the first four that we hope to get done. That is from $60,000 we've raised so far. We need about another $120,000 to finish out the other 8 stations. But they will all be networked, and we'll all share content, and we'll be able to share emergency information. And it'll just be another it'll just be the suspenders along with the belt when notifications go out or information is being there, because those 100-watt stations can stay up when power goes out, because we'll have backup power, and you'll be able to listen on your car radio or in your go bag. You'll actually have a reason to have a radio in your go bag. But that'll be for 12 communities across Siskiyou County. The 24/7 bulletin board that we have online is free for use for anybody that wants to put information out there. So some people were talking about, how do you get the project information out there? Well, we can figure out a way to run a ticker at the bottom or some type of we'll figure it out what we can do, but we can use that to be able to provide information for folks, or it'll maybe a web page, whatever that may be. The Siskiyou Golden Fair, we have the booth this year. We've already got it signed for. We just need to finish paying for it. It is a 20 by 10. It's going to be twice the size of it was last year. That means the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County will be doing one side. SMC will be doing the other. We'll be sharing. Also, VOAD will be a part of that booth. And you are all invited to come by and spend a little time in the booth, share with your projects, your documentation and flyers, and let the people know what you're doing. That way you don't have to sit there and try to find a booth, or you have to spend the whole week out there at the fair. I do have a sign-up sheet that I'll be handing to the group so that you can go online and pick your time slot and come by. We'll also be doing we'll be doing interviews. And those will be going out live to the television station and to the OTT apps, to hopefully the radio stations. And also they'll be going to social media as well. So we're going to try this platform gets us the chance to get more information out there. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, this is what we're really trying to build the infrastructure up for communications. And the reason why we're doing this, because a lot of folks like to use YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, but those algorithms do affect how people communicate, especially during emergencies, where the television channels and the radio stations do not have any algorithms. Whatever you put on there, it goes out to everybody. So I encourage you to think about utilizing this as we build this infrastructure up. It's getting more robust. And yeah, that's about it. Anybody got any questions?
No, but doesn't look like it, but great news, Dave. Sounds great. Thank you. All right. George, are you still here with us, or RCD?
Yes, sorry.
It's okay.
You got me across the room from my. Hey, just for clarification, because it's very confusing, ORCAL is a Resource Conservation and Development Council, and the districts are RCDs, and so we're a nonprofit, they're districts, but just it's a thing that happens a lot. So ORCAL works a lot with the Wairika Area Fire Safe Council and other projects like Miller Mountain and fuels and things like that. But as far as Wairika Fire Safe Council, we are getting close to probably more than halfway through with the Outson Road Fuels Project, doing forestry and mosaic on brush fields. We've completed defensible space on 24 homes, and we are, gearing up to really kind of get this thing. We may have this thing finished before we get into fire season, so we're hoping. So it's on the south west side of Wairika, kind of across from Walmart up on the hills up there, and utilizing and opening up those ridgetop dozer lines that were put in during the McKinney fire and expanding them and doing work within the community there. So that's the Outson Road Fuels Project, funded by a CCI grant. We were also awarded a project funding for what we call the East Side Wairika Community Protection Project, and we're hitting the ground running. It's a 3-year grant. They're shorter now, so we're hitting the ground with our CEQA crew and getting that ready, and we hope to have the CEQA for that project completed by this late summer, and then maybe be able to do some work in the fall and next spring and the next summer. And that'll be a project that starts a little bit south and east of the city of Wairika. There's a gas station out there and casino area that didn't open, and it runs up through rolling hills and around, kind of surrounds the area of that of the Karuk housing and the subdivisions up there. So it's like one of the highest priority projects based on the CWPP work that Jay did. We're also including in that defensible space, unrolling hills, along with going to do some herbivory or use of goats in a kind of a small demonstration project. And we are doing the same thing. I forgot, I missed that. On Outson Road is also going to have kind of a goat demonstration maintenance project. And then the last of the East Side project is Butcher Hill, from the communication towers north. Covering the east side of Wairika. That's not it. I mean, we got some other things I heard Julie talk a little bit about. We're looking at a project in the Carrick subdivision, because I go to church there and I have several friends that are in that community. So we've been looking at that as it's one of the green areas left, in weed, and a potential to, if there's a fire there, to take a lot of homes out. And also, everything seems to lead right towards Shastina if we get started in weed. So several folks have been working with them for a while to develop this. because they live out in Shastina and they really see the risk kind of pointing toward them with the prevailing winds. So something that we're trying to develop right now. That's it for the main part of what Orcal's working on. We're still working on Miller Mountain Project, which is over by the new overcrossing that's being built. We've got 300 acres completed there, and we're looking to finish the planning on 1,200 more acres to get a nice fire line. We worked with Shasta Valley RCD on that. And another thing I think Dan left out, they do help a lot with being a lead agency, and that's a big time saver for a lot of groups. So RCD does offer that service to be a lead agency for CEQA on some projects. So if anybody wants more about that, they can ask Dan. And I'm offering Dan's time up. I know they got a lot of stuff going on, but I appreciate that they do that, have that to help speed up the CEQA process and get projects on the ground sooner. So that's it. That's it from Orcal. Thank you.
Hey, George, this is Heidi George. I have a question for you. Can you put in the chat your resource for goats?
Let me think of a way to. I'm on my phone, and I'm not sure if I can do all of those things. But if you can just email me if you could, and I'll follow up. George.Jennings.
Okay, great.
Do you have it? The rest of it?
No, go ahead.
At Orcal, RCDC.org. OrcalRCDC.org.
Got it.
If I could figure out the texting on this while I have everything going on here, I would be happy to do it. But hopefully that helps. Thanks.
Thank you.
Heidi, can you CC me on that? Because I was going to ask the same thing, because I get a lot of people at all our outreach events asking me to rent my goats, which I don't do. So I'd like to be able to give people a resource reference when they ask for that. And then George, so there's a pretty large scale fuel reduction project going on right now between Carrick and the Shastina cutoff turnoff along 97. Do you know what that is? I drive out there almost every day, and it's really incredible what they're doing. They're pulling off a ton of underbrush, and it looks amazing, leaving the nice big trees. And definitely that, is like a wick, like you're saying, right to Carrick. So I've been curious to know who's doing that. Do you have any idea?
There's a group, I think the contractor just maybe already finished that work. That was it kind of like down by the way station on 97?
I'm not even sure.
Way station, right? There's a power substation, I think, and then maybe a way station on the side of the highway. It's kind of
right by past the liquor store. Yeah. So I mean, it's past that. It's between like the past the park and the it's basically the right after Carrick. The turnoffs, whatever those roads are. Between it's not a big area, but it was so fuel loaded. It's right basically both sides of 97, and it goes out really far. I mean, I'd say it's going out 300 feet on either side of 97.
I think it was timberland. It was on timberland that was associated with a ranch out there, and I think it's completed. And I think it was then completed. The contractor was Cascade Custom Cutting, but I don't know who the funding source was.
Yeah, that's what I was curious.
It was Cascade, and Jefferson was the one managing that. Jefferson Resource.
Okay, that's who I would have guessed. That was my assumption, but I didn't. Yeah, that sounds about right. Thanks.
George, can you repeat your email? I'm going to put it in the chat. George.Jennings at Orcal.
ORECAL RCDC Resource Conservation Development Council RCDC.org.
.org. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, did you have your hand up for a while for George?
I did. I just heard George talking about the CEQA and the East Side Wairika projects. Just wanted to make sure that we're going to get prescribed fire into those CEQA documents.
It's going to be future. It's going to be my legacy to be asked that every project now, isn't it? Yeah, yes, it is. Absolutely. And also we're working on getting some technical assistance funding to get that added to the Outs and Road project too. That's in the works to get that the west side of Wairika, southwest side of Wairika to have the prescribed burning in there too. That's in the works also.
Yeah, I appreciate that because that Alston project's making me drool, want to put some fire on the ground over there. So,
I
yep,
know, I
thank you.
know. It's gonna be good. Thanks.
All right, thank you, George. Okay, CJ, Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center. Do you have an update for us? Are you with us still, CJ?
I am sorry. I kept
It's
hitting
okay.
the choose my background button. Sorry. Um, hey everyone, great meeting so far. A lot of awesome information. Uh, Kevin, I'm really just blown away by the staggering numbers you guys have put up, in the amount of work you've done, and I really appreciate you supporting all the sub communities that I've been working with. And so for the Ecology Center's update, I've been really busy developing a strategy to grow the fire program at the Ecology Center. And so I've been tasked with putting together a 3-year plan. And it's been a really exciting, daunting, exhausting task. But stand by. There's a lot of good stuff to come from the Ecology Center. We are looking at workforce development in stewards for fuels reduction work in the WUI, on both being able to operate on both public and private lands. And then of course continuing on our path of education and community development. And so in regards to the community work that we're doing, we have a couple of work days already on the books. We're working with Jason Collins up here on our Columbine subcommunity for a work day we have coming up on April 4th. We'll be working all day. We'll be meeting at the corner of College and Old Stage, and we'll continue to do some easement work, and then we'll address some specific concerns that some of the property owners on the corner there are dealing with for fuel load. I'll let Heidi talk about our upcoming workday with the Gateway that we're excited about. We've also got a workday coming up this weekend and another biochar event that is happening down in Mountain Gate with Native Roots Network, which is a native-led nonprofit, education coalition down there that we're excited to be working with. And so we got a lot of these projects coming up, and I've been working on establishing new sub-communities for fuel reduction and to encourage folks to pursue Firewise designations. Hopefully soon I'll be able to announce more information about a sub-community that I've started to have the initial meetings for the east side of Mount Shasta, kind of butting up against the 2 existing Firewise communities that Mount Shasta has on its east side. So, south of the Gateway, and then on the west side of that smaller Firewise community that's up on the hill. I'm not the name of that Firewise community is escaping me right now. Yeah, and then so hopefully also George, I'm looking forward to shooting you an email as well, because I've been talking to some folks about developing a sub community, fuels reduction sub community, Firewise community up in Carrick, and so I'd be interested to see how maybe we can collaborate on that. So yeah, the Ecology Center is busy. We're excited to get out there and get working. We're starting earlier than we ever have due to this strange weather pattern, but we're going to take advantage of it. The other thing I really wanted to bring to the group and asking support for is I sent an email out a while back, kind of exploring the interest in collaborating with a lot of you about National Wildfire Preparedness Day in National Wildfire Prepared Awareness Month. May 2nd is the day. It does happen to be a Saturday. I have explored possible venue locations and have kind of started to feel that it's not something I can necessarily do on my own with my bandwidth for the amount of community outreach and program development that I'm going to be doing. And so if anybody on this call is interested in supporting an effort to hold a community event on that day on May 2nd, Like I said, I have some information already gathered about possible venues. One being COS up in Wairika. The COS in Weed is not available this year as they're undergoing major renovations. But I've talked to a couple other smaller venues. But yeah, if anybody is interested in contributing to make that happen, mostly right now, what I think I'm looking for support in is developing a list of speakers. So if anybody here is willing to speak, that just wants to throw your name in the hat, that would be super supportive. And then yeah, like day of, and then of course promotions going into the event would be most helpful. But yeah, so if anybody, I'll put my email and my phone number in the chat. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I look forward to hearing from you. And thank you so much for these meetings and for all the great work everybody's doing.
Well, thank you, CJ. I think you might know that we've done that in the past, and Kristen and Marina and have been working on something similar. So we'll just get together maybe and talk about that as offline, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. We'll
absolutely. Reach
get
out.
together and chat about all the collaborations in general, all the Firewise stuff. And I apologize, I've been kind of MIA off the map, moving now a second time in 3 months right now. So my life has been kind of crazy in the background here. So yeah, so yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for
look forward.
always reaching out, and sorry we haven't circled back, but we did have a lot of internal discussions about doing another kind of larger scale event for that this year. And since we're kind of squeaking by with on the tail end of our current funding for outreach and education, we kind of decided we weren't going to be able to do like a full-blown fire festival that like we had hoped in collaboration with you. So but yeah, there's still other possibilities that aren't as large scale. So yeah, we'll circle up.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
By the way, Kristen, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Kristen turns 22 today, so.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, all right. And Heidi, I didn't want to skip over you. Did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so we are asking the Gateway Firewise community to look at the larger scale network instead of just looking at home hardening their homes. And that's in response to some of the recent work that's been done. I'm going to give you his name, Nate Witasek, he's with the National Fire Protection Agency, and he's been putting out some really interesting articles. So instead of going from, I can put his name in the chat, from just looking at home hardening, actually looking at your whole neighborhood as kind of a system. So along those lines, we're doing fuel treatment from March 1st through March 21st. And then, yes, we're going to team up with the Bioregional Ecology Center, and they're going to help us out for a day and a half. And we're going to do some community work together. We did that last fall. It was great. And then May 1st, we're going to be doing our community meeting. And Giselle and Kristen, I'm just show up if you can. I know you guys are busy. But at that meeting, that's the theme of our meeting, is looking at, instead of individual homes, we're going to look at the whole community. And then putting on my Audubon hat, I am the fuels management nesting bird liaison. If you have any questions, if you want to know what to do, if you find a bird nest, or, let me know. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to also be a resource. So that's all I have. And big thanks to CJ. Thank you.
I was going to say, I saw the Firewise community post or sign on the railroad tracks. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Heidi.
We are certified. We are
official
recognized Firewise community.
Yep.
And then just by chance, the railroad came through and did a whole bunch of clearing all the way from Mount Shasta, Upper Mount Shasta Boulevard, all the way apparently to McLeod. They're going to be going through. So,
is that Four Rails that's doing that?
You know, Giselle, I don't know.
I think they own that track now, but yeah.
Four Rails. Yeah, I just you know, in terms of turning down the heat, I feel like we turned down the heat just by getting that brush removal along the track. And I love the timing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi. And Emily had to go from Trinity County Fire Safe Council. She had to sign off. She said that they do their annual Firewise Fair on May 2nd. If anybody wants to reach out to her about her events, and she left her email in the chat. So, next up, I just have our list of local fire safe councils.
How about Sierra Nevada? Thule, does she have anything more to say?
Oh, I thought she gave her update.
Oh, well, yeah, she talked a little bit about something, but I'm not sure that was.
Julie, do you have anything else for us?
Thank you. I don't think anything substantive for this meeting. Thanks all.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Giselle, do you have anything for the fire safe councils that we work with?
Yeah, well, the Fire Safe Council has got several projects going. Just briefly, Cantera, 199 acres. We just completed another 30 acres on the east side of I-5 across from the way station with CAL FIRE and Caltrans oversight, and that was some extra money we had. And that's where CAL FIRE money, we decided to put it in it. I think it looks really good. Amber, you can speak up. Amber worked with us to get that done. We're closing out Dunsmuir, I-5, and Shastina. A lot of good work done there. And some of that work in Shastina, Kristen, we did alongside the roads there. That was ingress and egress, almost 200 acres, up to 200 feet. So we did a lot of that out there. Also, Lake Shastina has some chipper days. We need people to get interested so we can use up that chipper money and get that done. We've been doing a lot of Firewise support, including a gateway. We've been working on our outreach calendar, and when we get closer, we will release that. And I think CJ, you will be interested in some of our events, including our May event. And then we're also working with the county fair, and grateful for Dave for getting that space for us. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to apply for a forest health grant this round. And we'll be going to the NCRP quarterly meeting later this month. And so those are kind of the things we're doing right now. So anything else, Jamie, can you think of that we're up to?
Besides the CWDG?
Besides the CW, we did report on the CWDG earlier in the meeting, so, and that is our project as well. And CWDG is 500 homes, defensible assessments and defensible space for 500 homes throughout the county.
All right. I don't see any individual fire safe councils, but instead of me just reading off the list, we have a lot of information in chat on this meeting, so make sure you review that before you leave for all the great stuff everybody has put in there. And if I missed anybody or anything or any announcements, this is a good time to speak up.
Can I have a question? Does the fire does anybody know anything about the projects that the McConnell Foundation was doing in the Gateway area and what the status of those projects are?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is not happening.
Okay.
It's the same. Dan can, if Dan is
Right.
still on, he knows more of the like background of like what got us to this point because he was kind of like a later round of the same funding pool and theirs came to a halt as well. So Alex Carter with the McConnell Foundation had been a couple years before Dan and the RCDs. And yeah, even Alex, you know, it's kind of crazy after all these years and all the footwork and time and investment that went into that. And it should have been already boots on the ground and the plug just got pulled. So
Well,
it's not happening.
Dan might be here. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
yeah. Are you here? Yeah.
Yeah, I am. It's all associated with FEMA and funds and stuff. They're all tied to disasters, and there's when a disaster happened in our case, it was San Diego hurricane or something, and there was funds left over that they put towards work in Dunsmuir, and the money does look like it's all gone. And I think the same thing with the McConnell grant that, they decided to, hold on to that money and not disperse it out to the communities. So, yeah, sad for
Okay.
the two projects that, we lost here. But, we are looking at other potential funding sources, because ours was, a two-part thing. So, potentially we're still going to get the Cal OES funds and be able to do some work in Dunsmuir eventually. But yeah, nothing's for sure, on that end either. So we're still waiting.
Okay, well, that's really helpful. That way, this one homeowner can move forward and address some things. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kevin, you had your.
I guess the good news is that, McConnell was able to do all this great CEQA work. So they have 7,000 acres of CEQA coverage,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And so, if people want to go after other grants to get some work done in those areas, you have that benefit of having CEQA coverage, which, somebody brought up the railroad work, the guy that wants to start that dinner train and all, trying to clear out around his, tracks and stuff between Mount Shasta and McLeod. They want to start that dinner train sometime soon. But
really, they pulled up all the rails. How are they going to do it? Put them back now?
There's still rails all the way to McLeod from Mount Shasta. It's just past there that they can't go any further. But yeah, so they're trying to get that up and going. But this CEQA does help them, do the work that they're doing out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Dana, this is CJ from the Ecology Center. I have a quick question about that that CEQA coverage that the McConnell Foundation got done. Am I right to believe that I can see that on a map on their website where they had their proposed projects listed, and there was like I think it was like a red, yellow, green color scheme or something like that.
Right.
And
when we were the lead agency, so we filed that CEQA document. So if you are interested in doing anything, definitely give us a call, because like all the work that Kevin Mancebo was talking about, the burning that they're doing, it's also under the CEQA where we're the lead agency. So we have the responsibility to kind of manage that, do all the reporting, letting agencies know, work is getting started and things like that. So
that's great. Hey, Dan, could you provide your email in the chat by chance?
Sure.
Thank you.
Looks like, speaking of, we got Kevin here.
Yeah, Kevin had a question.
Yeah, maybe just planting little seeds, maybe an invite for a guest, or see if anybody knows anything else. I've caught wind of Team Rubicon is going to be providing labor and equipment for a project in Happy Camp that's been organized by Siskiyou County OES. I was curious if anybody is familiar with that, or if anybody has utilized that source before.
Yeah, we've been in contact with Team Rubicon. We were going to use them down in Dunsmuir, and then they never could put us on their calendar, but we're aware of them and they're a good service if we can get in with them.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody was in the loop on that. And yeah, like I said, it's been confirmed. I think they're going to do 14 days, 20-person work crew and happy camp late spring.
That's great.
Can you, Giselle, can you explain who they are, or Kevin?
Kevin might have a better, they were veterans, I think, and they formed a group to go out and help the communities with different projects. And they bring in a team and they do like defensible space or, any kind of mitigation. But it's not just fuel reduction. They do lots of stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I have limited experience. It was actually down on the Palisades fire last year. What I believe their roots are is a philanthropic organization. I think I put an extra syllable in there, but I believe that's what they are, and they do lots of community reach out and volunteers. Really, they're an organizer.
Yeah, great.
They're actually a part of VOAD in the community as well. So if you need to pass on a message, we can get that as well to them.
That's great. Thanks, Dave, for that. I didn't know it.
Okay, Dave, what's VOAB?
Voluntary organizations active in disaster. So basically, it's all nonprofits and things like that that are that help in times of need. So in OES needs, they call up if they have a need or something like that. We'll take some of the slack off of their backs when they're doing the things that they need to focus on.
Oh, great.
So,
wow. Thank you.
Yep.
Julie has her hand up.
Is that similar to CERT? The old CERT program?
So I'm sorry we're getting off track, but hey, the thing is that CERT is a different organization, and OES has had their first CERT training in February. I took it along with about 8 other individuals, and they're going to be hooking up or connecting with the search and rescue team in Siskiyou County. And after the fire season, they'll have CERT training again scheduled. So pay attention to that.
So for anyone who doesn't know, CERT is the Community Emergency Response Team that's volunteers from the community, like any of us you have to be trained. And it, basically, for example, if, there's it's neighbors helping neighbors. So it's if you are having something going on in your own neighborhood or in the county, you can be a support to emergency responders, by going door to door or, being support in any safe way that you're trained to be in kind of a community response with disasters. And so, it's been defunct for many, many years in our county. And we had the Klamath County CERT directors come on, was it October, November, to this monthly meeting and talk about how they had brought theirs back from the dead after it was defunct for many years up in Klamath County. And they are still offering to, be a resource to us as we get ours back up and running here. And so we're trying to connect the dots with OES. OES got a grant, and they were, kind of getting momentum to get it back up and running last fall. And then Owen, who got the grant and was spearheading that, he left OES, but is just one door down or whatever at the county office of the Department of Health, which actually CERT in many counties operates under that department anyway. So I'm not sure if Owen's still retaining, the purview over CERT, and it's just going to be under the health department instead of OES. Or I've been trying to get in touch with Owen and haven't connected with him. So
you can get with Jeannie Frost because she's a part of that as well. So if you can get up her,
and thanks for explaining it too. Yeah, a lot of people don't know what it is. You're right. I think it was most recently active more on the west side, if I remember right. But it's been a long. I wasn't here. I was really active. So thanks.
I see Jay put a link in for Team Rubicon in the chat.
And then just for anyone in South County, we are trying to connect the dots between Mountain Medics and Owen and OES and the CERT folks. So, Mountain Medics is going to team up in some capacity and kind of support the CERT here in South County and offer, trainings through their, they've got space at their headquarters here in Mount Shasta and whatnot. So we'll have hopefully like a localized, pretty robust CERT going in the near future with South County here. So there's things in the works.
All right, thanks, Kristen. And Kevin, your hand is still up. Do you have something else, or is it just leftover? Oh, there it must have been leftover. Okay.
I was admittedly multitasking and forgot about my hand being in the air. My arm wasn't getting tired.
Okay. Remind everybody that our next meeting is April 8th at 5:30 p.m. right here on this channel. And Connor, you have a question, comment? You're muted.
Sorry, I could not figure out how to unmute myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Connor. I didn't really introduce myself. I figured it'd be a good opportunity. Is this towards the end of the call, Giselle?
Yeah, but go ahead, Connor, tell us.
Yeah, Giselle, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me. Greg, thank you for inviting me as well. My name is Connor. I work in the vegetation management with PG&E, and I have really appreciated everyone talking tonight. From a personal learning perspective, one thing I've noticed across these discussions was how important documentation and data collection seems to be, whether for insurance scoring, risk assessments, or mitigation projects. My curiosity comes with how the mitigation work is being documented today, especially capturing pre and post conditions so that communities and agencies and people like us can measure effectiveness and understand the cost analysis over time and determine when the treatments may need to happen again. It also seems like baseline or pre-loss documentations of properties or vegetation conditions could be valuable for both mitigation planning and insurance conversations. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. I really appreciate everyone sharing tonight, and I'll post a little bit more stuff in the chat.
Well, if I might add, PG&E should be part of the Siskiyou wildfire area, Siskiyou Area Wildfire Mitigation Coalition, talking about where we're putting all our projects, what we're doing, and how they'll affect insurances and other things. So we have a group, Connor, that does do that, and PG&E. I hope I'm not speaking out of term, Jamie, but PG&E is welcome to join the conversation, especially since you're doing a lot of veg management.
Thank you, Giselle. I am a certified arborist. I have track and utility specialist. I have a lot of credentials in the arboricultural industry, and I am analyzing being a PG&E employee, reducing wildfire risks. But for this call, it's more of a neighbor to neighbor. I kind of recuse PG&E. I did just get off work to get on the call, and I'm at a baseball practice, but I do want to work with Firewise and PG&E, but currently I do own a small business that documents assets and does baseline documentation. So I've kind of been working in the LiDAR industry and flirting with different capture methods and trying to see if we can use it to calculate mitigation efforts or use it as pre-loss documentation for insurance purposes post-wildfire.
That's a good conversation to have. Maybe we can talk offline and see where all that fits in.
Hey, Connor.
Yes, absolutely.
Connor, this is CJ from the Ecology Center. I have quite a few projects that I'd love to just pick your brain about for a few minutes in regards to PG&E. Could you provide your contact?
Yes, sir. So CJ, one thing, I'm not going to be able to provide you my PG&E contact. I think I would probably be fired if I was speaking on the behalf of PG&E. It's a large corporation. I'm just an employee. So I can ask if I can partake PG&E, but preferably it is more of just like a resident and someone. I worked for about 6 to 8 months in Happy Camp when the wildfire came through. I worked for Mountain F Enterprise. We were contracted with PPL and PG&E to cut down all the trees near the power lines. So I did see the devastation that went through the area and all the people that were affected. And that since that time, I have kind of been planning this, and now I'm trying to execute it.
Okay.
I can appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's something we can explore, Connor.
Thank you.
Jamie?
Okay. Well, I'm just making sure that the conversation was done. If there's anything else that was missed, please let me know now. And if there's nothing else, then we will see you all next month, April 8th.
Thanks, Jamie, for taking the lead on this meeting. You did an excellent job. Appreciate your talent in facilitating. And yes, we'll see you next month.
Okay. Good night, everyone.